As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner, YouGov, offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. Should we start with should we start with the Ludwig news? I feel like we have to. This is just too much of a recurring theme.
It's big, yeah.
And it's another big move. So the headline here from .esports, Ludwig moves to YouTube gaming. He made a little teaser video, and then on his stream, I think he made an announcement video in terms of his reasoning. I didn't watch the whole thing. I'll be honest. I watched up until he said YouTube offered him more money. And then I was like, okay, I got the gist of it. Let me turn this off. But I'm curious what you guys think, right? Because we've now seen Tim the Tatman, Dr. Lupo, Dr. Disrespect, while they're big on doctors over at YouTube, Courage JD, right? And now Ludwig, who arguably was, not arguably, top 5 at Twitch, right? Maybe even top 3. What is at some point do we start drawing different conclusions, or is this more of the same? Jimmy, Jeff, go ahead.
I know sometimes we don't have the nicest things to say about YouTube gaming's management, so I don't know how we'll take this, but is it fair to say that if they're continuing to do this strategy, it must be showing some sorts of returns? Otherwise, I would think that they wouldn't be doubling and tripling down. So maybe the ones that they have signed already to exclusive deals have been showing positive ROI, or at least the right KPIs that they're looking for.
I think it's still kind of early to make that call. I feel like a lot of these, the time it takes to negotiate, and the amount that we've seen, we're not at this level where there's so many going through. There's definitely, more than 1 or 2. I'm not sure if that's the case. When I look at this, and to your point, we do criticize YouTube gaming a lot here, and for good reason. But what I would say is kudos to Ludwig. If you look at it from the talent perspective, he's collecting the bag, or whatever that expression is. The guy's getting paid. This is we saw from the Twitch leak, right, what these guys are making, and if he has the opportunity to basically make all of that in one quick opportunity, the way Ninja did, albeit under different circumstances, I think they need to capitalize while they can, because if YouTube gaming crashes and burns, or if his audience fails to follow him after the end of the term, he just goes back to Twitch. And I think this brand is strong enough that he can afford to take a gamble right now, get a pretty nice paycheck, see if his brand follows him, and really test it. It's only upside, because if he moves and the brand follows him, then he can take that to any advertiser, any sponsor, and say, look how awesome my fans are and how great I am. And if he totally fails, he just goes back to Twitch, where I think it's easy for him. And blames YouTube.
He has a scapegoat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Has anyone done a post-mortem about how that moved back, with Ninja and some of these guys? Has their audience rebuilt itself, or has it been less?
Less, but there's too many variables also, right? It's like
Fortnite, right? Fortnite. Yeah, the Fortnite effect. So
there are hidden variables and stuff. Jimmy, I think your point's a really good one. But I to Jeff's point, if anything, I think the only data we have proves that they should stop doing this, right? The YouTube continues to lose market share from a streaming perspective to Twitch. And so it's if you look at the data says stop this. Instead, the reaction is, well, we need to keep doing this because at some point this will fix the problem, right? This feels like a fix in some ways. As I've said this many times before, history will say that this was a really bad decision, but no one will care because Google has the money to blow, right? Fundamentally, the bigger lesson here is Jimmy's point, which is creators' brands now are what matter. That's what matters, right? Ludwig can go to YouTube, he can go to Facebook, he can go to Twitch. It doesn't matter. He'll still be able to draw an audience and draw sponsors. It may be smaller at YouTube, but it doesn't matter because he can always leave YouTube, blame YouTube, do whatever he wants with his brand. And I don't think it gets hurt in any way. Lindsay, I don't know.
So,
do you see any risk for him? Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
I guess, Lindsay, before you answer that question, I just wanted to rebut Paul a little bit because, like, I think what you said, yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, go ahead, Lindsay. I'll come back. I was gonna rebut Paul, and then I realized you can't rebut Paul. So
a good lesson to learn, I suppose.
It seems that way.
Learn the hard way here.
Well, you were saying that like streamers' brands and audiences transfer with them, but wouldn't that kind of disprove the point if you're saying YouTube strategy is not working because the people's audience are not transferring with them?
What I'm saying is it doesn't matter if they transfer or not. That the creator's brand will hold its value whether he's successful on YouTube or not. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's fair, but still, I feel like if that was the case and the brand and the audience was transferring, wouldn't it be a good strategy?
Again, I didn't say 20,000 people who watch him on Twitch are now going to be 20,000 people who watch him on YouTube. But the Ludwig brand and it's how it's recognized among gamers, I think will stay intact even if he only draws 1,000 viewers on YouTube, which may be the case, right? And so the way I frame in my mind is sort of the way Jimmy framed it, which is there's zero downside for Ludwig. This is all upside, right? It either works spectacularly well on YouTube, in which case he's happy, or it crashes and burns on YouTube, in which case he already got paid and he can blame YouTube. So there's really no downside I see. And that's why my question, to you guys or to Lindsay was, is there any brand risk to Ludwig?
Oh, no, I don't think so. And I don't think anyone's going to fault him for going and chasing a big fat paycheck. That's not an issue. The thing that this makes me wonder about, though, is obviously this strategy of signing immensely popular Twitch streamers over to YouTube hasn't really impacted YouTube's share of the gaming space in terms of time spent watched on YouTube. So I'm more so wondering, I mean, we've already kind of pointed that out. Like, it's not a great strategy. It's not working very well. They keep offering these big contracts, which is great for streamers. Why not? There's pretty much no risk because nobody's watching you anyways. And you just make a buttload of money and go back to Twitch in a couple of years when YouTube doesn't work out. So totally, why not? But what's it going to take for YouTube to capture more of this brand share? Because clearly it's not bringing the influencer strategy here is not working.
I mean, I have a thought on that, but I'm curious if you guys have thoughts.
I definitely want to hear your thought because it does seem like, they've tried the leagues, like exclusive rights, albeit probably with the wrong leagues, but they tried that strategy. And now they're trying exclusive content with influencers. So it seems to me that they have strategies. They just haven't worked. And they seem like on paper and like in a business school case study, they would be the right strategy. So I am curious, Paul, what your take is.
Because none of those strategies are fundamentally aligned with the core values and the core competencies of the company they work for, which is Google, right? Google is a first and foremost technology and product company. This is not about entertainment. This is not about content creators. Like, this is not about exclusives. To me, the only strategy that could possibly work for YouTube is real groundbreaking innovation from a product and technology standpoint, which is what they should be good at. And ironically and baffling is that it's the one area that YouTube gaming has suffered the most, right? Like, it's literally just a poor copy of Twitch from 3 years ago is basically what YouTube gaming is. And so the answer is simple in my mind. It's management that just doesn't really know what they're doing, but it's lean into what the expertise and core competency of the company you work for is. Build unbelievable features, right? Like, build things that allow people to stream from anywhere, anything, on connections that are no good, right? Like, leverage all the negative latency technology you built for Stadia. Like, lean into the technology and product standpoint and make streaming just so compelling on YouTube that no one would even think about going and doing it on Twitch just because the feature set doesn't exist there.
Which ironically was the business plan for Stadia, Whereas the business plan for Stadia should have been create great exclusive content. It's like they basically took the business, like the strategy that would have worked for Stadia and switched it with the one that would have worked for YouTube gaming.
To be fair, Stadia's strategy of product and technology excellence would have worked if it truly was product and technology excellence. The problem is it didn't work. You had to plug the controller in. It was laggy as hell. Like, it only worked with certain phones and not others, right? Like, let's be clear. The execution, even though the strategy was correct, the execution was the problem there, not so much the strategy. Goyo says, happy Wednesday, everyone. Goyo, welcome back. Great to see you
Goyo.
this week. Guys, any other thoughts on Ludwig? Can I ask a question to all of you? Just give me throw out a number between now and the end of first quarter 2022. How many more big Twitch streamers get signed by YouTube? Lindsay?
I think probably I'm gonna go low and say 2. At some point they have to make the ones that they have work too. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Tim the Tatman and Dr. Disrespect are really just so high up there. They're losing talent to poach at this point.
Yeah, I mean XQC is the big holdout, right? That'd be the biggest fish.
He's not gonna do what he doesn't want to do either. He's less, in my mind, he's less amenable.
I mean, he just bought a McLaren 720S, so maybe
Gotta pay for that somehow.
Maybe he needs the YouTube bag.
Paul's on his close friends on Instagram. I just know it.
Jimmy, what's
your
view?
I like Lindsay's reasoning. I was thinking 3 or 4 also. I mean, it's a relatively short amount of time. They already have a lot of big names. And to Jeff's first point, if it's working, we'll see more of it, but that's going to take time to tee up and to accomplish. And you limited the question to kind of that higher tier creator. So it's a smaller pool to draw from, inherently. So maybe if this was a mid-tier, kind of bracket that we were looking at, I don't even know if they're looking in that realm yet, but there's more opportunity there as well. It seems like they're really going for that, the head of the snake approach. And there's just not a lot of opportunity there. And there's not a lot of reason to do more when they already have a good amount. Like Lindsay said, that we got to see if these guys are even working for us in the first place. So I thought she was spot on.
Jeff, it's like EEG signing sports teams. How many more?
I mean, lock down everyone we can. Sorry, you threw me off there. It's like the third time. Just the look of Paul is throwing me off to that. I'm like nervous.
It's the white sweatshirt.
I was gonna say,
hey, it's Twitch.
I actually was gonna defer the whole thing. What is it?
It's Twitch.
Oh, here's your chance to defer, Jeff. Get out of it.
Well, I was gonna say you guys covered it pretty well, and I'll take the Price is Right approach and say 5.
5 big ones.
Higher than what you guys said.
All right. Goyo says Stadia is fighting an uphill battle, trying to compete with real hardware with zero latency. They were never going to achieve that with cloud gaming. Exclusives was the way to go. I mean, yeah. The problem is I don't know if the exclusives would have like overcome the technology problems, right? Just because it's the only place you can play something. If it's a horrible experience playing it, people still aren't going to play it.